Live from KSAT 12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
And we begin with late breaking news from the far west side of the city. San Antonio police on the scene of an officer-involved shooting in the 2600 block of Westward Drive. That is just north of Highway 90 inside Loop 410. Officers called to the scene around 5 o'clock.
We are hearing reports that the suspect is down, but we do not know at this point how badly they are hurt. Our Patty Santos is on the scene trying to get more information, and we hope to bring you that information a little bit later in this newscast.
Yeah, Chief McManus on the scene. He has just not updated people at this moment. Well, just a matter of time before people start snapping.
That comment today came from an inmate at the Bexar County Jail, where more than 60 deputies, support staff, and inmates have now tested positive for the deadly coronavirus.
Dylan Collier confirming in just the last few hours that food handed out early Tuesday morning to inmates was spoiled.
That is the voice of Michael Rogers speaking to us today from inside the Bexar County Jail. The 36-year-old has been in custody since last July when he was arrested on 2 drug possession charges and for being a felon in possession of a firearm. Since Rogers was also on parole, a so-called blue warrant was issued by the state that has contributed to him remaining in jail as the COVID-19 pandemic rages on. Rogers was supposed to go to trial a week ago, but is now stuck inside a building where the anxiety increases by the day.
It feels like it's going to come eventually.
The inmate meal schedule has been turned upside down. Tuesday, around 3:15 a.m., dinner trays were served. Rice, imitation meat, and broccoli.
As soon as I opened it up, I smelled the food was spoiled.
One of the items had gone bad.
The spoiled food, that was just, they did nothing about it. They didn't care.
Rogers says the atmosphere was tense even before the incident. Afterwards, inmates were kicking their cell doors and screaming. A BCSO spokesman today said the food was approved by their vendor, Aramark, but after jail staff began getting complaints it was spoiled, the trays stopped going out, and detention officers themselves were forced to make sandwiches for the inmates. Rogers says one of the toughest issues to deal with, not knowing how bad the virus has gotten inside.
They're not telling us anymore how many cases are in here. They pretty much shut us down from that.
For the defenders, Dylan Collier, KSAT 12 News.
When asked if the district attorney's office planned to ask the state to withdraw its warrant against Rogers, a spokeswoman told us, quote, considering Mr. Rogers' extensive criminal history and his 3 pending felony charges where he is enhanced as a habitual offender, which means that he's currently facing 25 years to life in prison, the district attorney's office has no plans to intervene on Mr. Rogers' behalf.
Well, Zoom is not only the name of the latest method of internet communication, it also describes the speed at which it is being used in the Bexar County Criminal District Court system. Paul Venema with a look at how it's working and one judge's plans to take it a step further.
I have a live feed to the courtroom. Both sides satisfied that this meets the requirements of open courts.
Individual hearings, even a sentencing using the Zoom connection, have become the norm here.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony that...
As judges adapt to the COVID-19 orders regarding social distancing. And most judges say it's working. Judge Velia Mesa is making plans to broaden its use even further.
I took my Monday docket, which had approximately 49 people on it, and I just spread it out throughout the week.
She plans to get through anywhere from 5 to 15 cases a day.
When I call the case virtually, all the same rules apply as if you're in court.
The plan, Mesa said, should move cases along even faster.
State, do you have any witnesses that you intend to call? By bringing in everybody virtually, it makes the attorneys on both sides confer about what's happening with their case. If after they confer, they can't reach an agreement, then obviously I would give them a setting within 30 days.
She said she's received no pushback on this, but since the proceedings are on the web, Mesa says it personally takes a little getting used to.
I've caught myself where I'm either playing with my hair or making facial expressions. Like you have to change, and you have to be mindful that that's happening. Anything further from either side before we close the proceedings?
Paul Venema, KSAT 12 News.
San Antonio residents struggling because of the COVID-19 pandemic could get some help with their bills. The city council members approved a $25 million COVID-19 emergency housing assistance program. It's for housing. Residents who meet income criteria and can show financial hardship, like being laid off, could qualify. Depending on your income, you could get up to $3,500 for your rent or mortgage and up to $1,500 for utilities and maybe internet. Depending on your family size, you could also get up to $300 in cash assistance to help with gas, groceries, and medicines.
We have to work diligently at the local level because we know that our residents count on us. If it's not going to happen at the federal level or the state level, they're going to be looking to their city council and the commissioner's court to address the issues, which at their essence are keeping food on the table and roofs over their heads.
We have information on how to apply for the program on our website, or if you want to donate to the program, that info also on KSAT.com under this story. 1 month ago, few of us even knew how a ventilator worked, much less how to wear a face mask. All we did know back then was that the coronavirus, COVID-19, was killing people in record numbers in other parts of the world. Well, now at University Hospital, a full court press of new drugs and treatments is changing outcomes. Ursula Perry shows us what they are and why doctors are hopeful their cocktail for COVID is working better.
At University Hospital, the repertoire for coronavirus treatment includes 5 drugs. Each has properties used in concert or at times alone to reduce the effects of the virus. First up, tocilizumab, a rheumatoid arthritis drug that has an effect on a certain type of inflammation in a COVID-19 infection.
Very targeted of the patients in the patient's body to try to prevent the complications from happening.
The highly debated RA drug hydroxychloroquine is being tested here too.
These patients may have more side effects than benefits.
Remdesivir attacks a specific piece of equipment that lets viruses attack. It's in a double-blind study at University Hospital.
It's because you want to prevent us from knowing what the patients are getting. Obviously, the patients don't know either.
They're also giving patients a cocktail of high-dose steroids, attacking the intense inflammation COVID causes. And Dr. Baselli says they've also recently started using anticoagulant drugs for clots.
Our colleagues from China, Italy, Spain, and New York have noticed is that these patients tend to be prone to having clots in their body.
The only problem here is that when a patient does improve, it's unclear exactly what helped them along. That's all going to have to get sorted out a bit later. Right now, doctors say they're just concentrating on saving lives. Ursula Perry, KSAT 12 News.
Take a live look right now at your time saver traffic. Look at those empty roads at this hour. This is a shot of I-35 and I-37. We're clearly not a whole lot of folks out on the roadways tonight.
The new at 6 distance learning, now a fact of life. It's also been a learning curve for many teachers, their students, and their parents. At Northeast ISD, it actually began 5 weeks ago. Jesse Degollado checked in with a teacher who, with a lot of others, can relate to trying to balance work and family under one roof.
Welcome to teacher Meredith Thomas's new normal.
A lot of here, there, everywhere, but we make it work.
As you can see, she already has an armful with her 3-year-old special needs son. She also has a kindergartner, as well as a husband in sales working from home.
Happy birthday.
Yet she was even able to celebrate the birthday of one of her students. Thankfully, Thomas says she's been mostly reviewing what they've already learned at school.
Okay, how many purple buttons are there?
Her 5-year-old Kinsley is handling technology better, she says, than some of her second graders' parents, except for...
It's a little different. She's not quite a fan of the Zoom meetings. It just makes her feel a little bit uncomfortable. What does the pig say?
She also helps her son Parker with his school activities that are part of his therapy.
So even my 3-year-old has work to do at home.
Yet when it comes to her job...
Yeah, so sometimes they don't understand. I am still working even though I'm at home.
It's become routine, but like many other teachers, what she can't get used to.
We love teaching our kiddos face-to-face. That's the challenge.
For teachers and parents struggling to adjust to their new normal, Thomas has 3 words of advice.
Give yourself grace.
Jesse Degollado, KSAT 12 News.
All right, let's take a live look outside with live cam on this very beautiful sunny evening. It's 90 degrees out there right now.
I like today. It's very nice.
You like that blue color to the sky?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, we swept away the humidity, got rid of all that smoke we had in the air, and Oh, it looks good. It's going to look like this for several more days. I do want to point out the aquifer is down half a foot, so we're now 3.5 feet above the April average. Mold is high today with a count of just over 1,000. Mulberry, oak, and pecan low. Yes, oak low. That's nice. We've gotten past oak season for the most part. Right now we're hovering around 90. 89 Rio, Medina, and Floresville, 90 in New Braunfels, and 85 currently in Kerrville. Mostly clear this evening, low humidity, comfortable, 75 at 10 p.m. But tomorrow's really fixing to be the hottest day so far this year. Then a cold front arrives. We'll talk about that coming up.
Concerns over the Bexar County Jail. One woman says her husband, who's been incarcerated, is now in quarantine. Tonight, the answer she's hoping to find.
We are waiting to hear from San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg and County Judge Nelson Wolf with their daily briefing on the COVID-19 situation in the county and the city.
Yeah, as of today, the death toll stands at 39. We have not seen any in a number of days. We will find out here in just a few seconds if that is still the case. And we hope to hear a little bit more also about their economic transition team as we near the end of the week. I know they said they would start bringing us some information in regards to that, perhaps as soon as tomorrow.
Yeah, and the report from the health transition team is actually due tomorrow. Let's check in with the mayor.
And tonight we're joined by the City of San Antonio's Assistant City Manager, Lori Houston, who's here to share a little bit more about our Emergency Assistance Fund just passed by the City Council today. This is our COVID-19 update for the San Antonio community. Tonight we have 1,167 total cases confirmed of COVID-19 to report. That's up 41 from yesterday. We do remain steady at 31% of people who have confirmed positive now fully recovered, 361, with 2/3 that are still fighting the virus. Unfortunately, we are saddened to report that 4 additional folks have died in our community from COVID-19. The first was a Hispanic female in her 80s. The second, a Hispanic male in his 60s. The third, a Caucasian female in her 90s. And the fourth, a Caucasian male in his 80s. It is important to note that all had underlying medical conditions. One of those patients was in hospice. So let's keep them and their families in our prayers. We do have some positive news to report, and that is that there are fewer patients in the hospital today as a result of COVID-19, 64 total. That's down from 79 yesterday. Of course, those numbers fluctuate from one day to the next. Today, we have 32 patients in ICU. That's also down, and we are happy to report that we've had the fewest number of patients on ventilators in quite some time. We have 20 folks tonight on ventilators. That means 80% of our total inventory is available, as well as 34% of all of our staff beds. We had a long City Council meeting today, and I am happy to report that the City Council approved the new Emergency Assistance Fund for San Antonio residents who are disadvantaged or vulnerable or somehow are not able to keep up with the bills because of lost jobs and so forth. We remain committed to ensuring that we don't leave anyone behind in this crisis and that there are resources available to help with rent, with emergency assistance for utilities, groceries, etc. We are very focused on that, and I want to say thank you to our colleagues at the court, the Bexar County Court. The judge and I put together our working groups with commissioners as well as city council members, and they've been working very hard. And all total, between the city and the county, we now have roughly $30 million in an emergency fund available to residents who need it. So great work happening through the community action working groups. Judge?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. And let me bring you up real quickly on the jail, then talk about a couple of other issues. We've now had some 36 COVID cases, 2 more yesterday. Out of the 36, 7 have recovered, but we have 26 in our infirmary and 3 at the hospital that are in dangerous condition. We're still kind of stymied with the prison system. We have 199 paper ready to go to the prison system. I did get a letter back. It seems like they've got trouble. Maybe they got a lot more trouble than we do. They say that they have the number of confirmed cases, both offenders and staff, continue to grow. And so they're having a problem in the prison system. Obviously, so are we. Maybe not as bad as theirs, but I understand their problem, but they hope to be able to get it under control here in the near future. We do have a big day next Tuesday, right? 1 o'clock. I think this is the first time in probably 20 years or so the Commissioners Court and the City Council will be meeting together. It's a big day for all of us, and that's a day that everybody really needs to pay attention to. We'll get the report back from our Health Committee about how you would transition as we begin to open the state of Texas up, which we believe that the governor, he's already stated a number of things that he plans to do, but we'll hear definitively, I believe, on Monday. Excuse me, I said that wrong. We'll hear from him on Monday, and we will have the report with the Health Committee the next day, and we're hoping that we have the right to put in the standards that need to be put in if indeed the governor follows through on what he is saying. So we think we've also going to be able to help a little bit more. We got a check for $79 million today. Not as much as the city will get, but that $79 million will go to the 500,000 people that live out in the 26 cities and in the unincorporated areas. As the mayor mentioned, we have appropriated roughly $9.5 million or so for housing, and then for rent if people get behind, and then we've also done the small loan, and so we'll be able to supplement that because I know the demand there is more than probably what we've been able to supplement, and then we got to come up with a strategic plan of how we use it. It's supposed to be used for COVID-related issues. They haven't set the final rules on it. But that's how we intend to move that forward, and we're going to have a strategic plan of how to best use that. We did have a conference call with all the mayors today to alert them that there will be some funding available, the 26 suburban mayors. So we're all moving along to try to contain this thing and to help people that need help, and then as the governor lays out his transition plan into opening up more business, we need to be on our toes to make sure we handle that right. And please, if he does it, which we believe he will, because he already said he's going to do it, don't think the problem is over. The problem is far from over. And so we're all still going to have to be very, very careful.
And thank you, Judge. And yes, as a reminder, continue to stay the course. We are working hard, all of us together. We are saving lives by the work that you're doing with the social distancing. So stay the course, continue the great work that you're doing, and we'll all be better for it. As a reminder, you can text KOSA-GOV to 55000 anytime to get text alerts, or you can visit sanantonio.gov/COVID-19 for the latest updates. Before we go to questions, I'd like to turn it over to Assistant City Manager Lori Houston to describe a little bit about
All right, the latest numbers from Bexar County and the city of San Antonio there. Sad news, 4 more deaths to report, all people with underlying health conditions, but still sad nevertheless. We are now at 43 deaths in Bexar County.
And some good news out of that, as the mayor mentioned there, the recoveries have increased, so has fewer patients in the hospital. The numbers for folks in the ICU and the number of ventilators have gone down. That's good news. I urge everybody also, as you're watching this, to also go to KSAT.com if you want to continue to watch this press conference. As he mentioned there, Lori Houston, the assistant city manager, is going to talk a little bit about what council approved today, which is that big emergency assistance fund to the tune of $30 million.
Right, the rental assistance program that we've been getting a lot of calls on. So obviously the need is great out there. Interesting to hear the county judge talk a little bit about what the governor may do as soon as tomorrow. He said Monday, but the governor may make an announcement tomorrow, as a matter of fact, about the next step in reopening the economy. And again, 36 cases of inmates at the jail with COVID-19.
I was just about to mention that. That is obviously, as you saw at the top of the show, some problems there at the jail that we're going to continue to monitor in these next few days. 199 people as well waiting transfer to TDCJ, and they just simply can't do that at that point.
Yeah, they're not transferring inmates right now. All right, let's check in with the weather situation right now. It is Thermometer Thursday.
On the bright side.
I know that because of your tie.
That's right. I knew that was why. It has the little logo on it. Right? It's a great tie. One of my favorites. I love it. All right, so we'll get to that coming up next half hour. First, let's take a look outside with our bright blue sky, nice clear sky. Got rid of the humidity, got rid of the smoke, got rid of the haze. 92 degrees was our high. That's 10 degrees above average, but 6 degrees below the record. Cotulla's 95 along with Carrizo Springs. There's some of the hot spots. Del Rio 94. Meanwhile, 84 in Kerrville and Fredericksburg 83. This is what's nice. Dew points are down. I mean, we're talking right around 40 degrees for most of us. So lack of humidity in the air feels really, really nice today. You'll notice a little hint of humidity tomorrow. But by the weekend, it's all gone again. We'll have a very dry weekend, and it's going to be rather comfortable as well with low dew points and comfortable conditions. So this evening, clear sky, low humidity, temperatures falling through the 70s, and then down into the 60s. And we'll start the day tomorrow at 62. Wall-to-wall sunshine again, south wind at 10 to 15, making it up to 96. So the warmest day so far this year is slated to be tomorrow. Then a little cold front moves through, and that'll drop us by about 10 degrees. Or more as we get into the weekend. Low to mid 80s for high temperatures with a morning low of 56 even on Sunday. So great weather this weekend. Get outside, get some fresh air. Then we get into next week. Humidity returns on Monday. With it could be a few isolated storms as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday. Unfortunately, not looking like a great chance of rain. By the way, speaking of rain, I'll have your latest drought monitor, which was updated today, coming right up next half hour.
Tomorrow's going to be a doozy. All right. Thanks so much, Adam.
We have sports up next.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
The 2020 NFL Draft will not be as glamorous or as elaborate a production as originally planned, but the show must go on, and it will, starting tonight with the first round. This year's draft was supposed to be held in Las Vegas, but due to COVID-19, it'll take place virtually. Players, coaches, and general managers will be in their homes. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell will announce the picks from the basement of his house in Bronxville, New York. The commission posted a video on Twitter to show off his man cave, which he says normally has a lot of dolls due to his daughters.
I affectionately call it the man cave in our family because, as you know, I have twin girls and my wife, and it really hasn't been a man cave. But it is where I watch football when I'm home on the weekends when I'm not traveling. And it's a perfect spot for it. I'm looking forward to being down there. We got it pretty well set up now. It's going to be a little different than it is, obviously, when I'm watching games on Sunday, but we'll make it work.
Goodell said he will miss the fan interaction, including the booing. Now, thanks to Bud Light, you can boo the commish. Just record your boos, then post and tag at Bud Light and hashtag boo the commish, and they will deliver those boos. The best part about this, for each boo the commish they get through Saturday, Bud Light will donate $1 to NFL Draft-a-thon up to $500,000 to benefit COVID-19 relief. With 7 total selections, including 1 first-rounder tonight with pick number 17, the Dallas Cowboys will try to upgrade enough to overtake the Eagles in the NFC East. When it comes to a virtual draft, Jerry Jones said he's comfortable and the buildup has been relatively smooth. Dallas held practice virtual drafts where the boys expected the unexpected.
When we had glitches, one of the keys to me was to have backups to execute trades or execute the business of the draft. We had that. We exercised that. We used backups. We handled circumstances that could possibly happen during the draft, on the draft board. I thought that was handled very well.
NFL Draft starts tonight at 7 right here in KSAT 12. The Texans don't have a first-round selection. December will mark the 10-year anniversary of Still High School winning the Class 5A Division II state championship when the Knights, led by head coach Mike Jinks, beat Denton Guyer 24-21. Coach Jinks left after the 2012 season to join the college ranks. He's currently the running backs coach at Southern California. During a FaceTime chat, he told us how COVID-19 is currently affecting his family.
Well, first and foremost, let me hopefully my dad gets to see this. I actually missed the first day of spring football. I was up in San Antonio. My dad had fallen ill, and we had to get him kind of situated and into a rehab facility. And I flew back, I guess that was, the 12th or so of March for Wednesday's practice. That was the last flight on a Tuesday night, and all heck broke loose. We went to work on Wednesday, and we never made it to that practice. They sent us home, and we've been home since. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate what the people on the front line are doing, our doctors and nurses, because I hadn't been able to see them yet.
Yeah.
And they've kept me in contact via FaceTime and they've done a tremendous job of taking care of him. So it's had an impact on my family directly.
Jinx said his father is stable and using a walker and that he can't wait to fly back to San Antonio and see him in person.
I bet he can't. You know, during the draft tonight, I want to know who has a better basement setup, Jerry or the commish. I'm betting Jerry.
Thank you, Larry. We'll be right back. I want to take you back to that late breaking news that we had for you at the top of the show. An officer involved shooting in the 2600 block of Westward Drive.
Yeah, our Patty Santos is there live. She's been gathering information. Patty, I think you just heard from the chief just moments ago, correct?
That's right. He tells us this all started as a suspect opened fire on an officer as she was arriving for a burglary in progress. Now, they tell us that suspect started firing into that vehicle, into the officer's vehicle. A second arriving officer then opened fire on that suspect, bringing him down. The two officers are not hurt. They are okay. That suspect was taken to the hospital, but his condition is not known. Again, two officers arriving for a burglary in progress call were involved in this. We're going to continue to gather more details for you and bring you more tonight on the Night Beat.
All right, thank you, Patty. All right, coronavirus Q&A time where we get to separate, hopefully, the facts from the fiction and the fear that are out there. We are joined by emergency room Dr. Robert A. Frolickstein. Doctor, thank you for joining us as you do every Thursday. We really appreciate it. I like to start with just what are you seeing in the ER these days?
So not much has changed. We're still seeing a few patients with COVID that are getting admitted, but thankfully we seem to be having more patients recover in our discharge. So overall, I think the number of hospitalized patients with COVID-19 right now is down a little bit than it was last week. Overall, our volumes are still significantly dropped. It's maybe started to pick up in a few days, and the last few days, and that's good. That hopefully is an indication that makes people understand it is safe to come to the emergency department. You need to come to the emergency department if you believe you have an emergency.
And speaking of the hospital, we are hearing reports that things are kind of returning back to normal in some sense, at least when it comes to scheduling these non-emergency surgeries. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I'd say it is starting. The process of returning to normal is starting, and certainly the governor changed his executive order. And prior to the change, it really limited any surgeries to only those that were emergent. And now it has relaxed that a bit, and now necessary, but not necessarily emergent surgeries are now being allowed to proceed.
We've been I know that the mayor talked about it a little bit yesterday about masks and the importance of wearing masks and that some people still aren't wearing them. And we actually get questions here about people saying, if I don't have COVID, why do I have to wear a mask? Well, it's not so much about the person wearing the mask, correct?
Yeah, so I think there's a misperception out there that COVID is floating around in the air. And that's really not true. It probably does float for a very short distance from someone that has been infected with it, but then it quickly settles, and it probably settles within 6 feet of that person that is emitting the virus. And so that's the rationale behind the 6-foot rule. So, but the masks are really not necessarily intended to prevent me wearing a mask that it doesn't have the infection from getting the virus. The masks are really more designed for, if I have it and don't know it, to prevent it from spreading around. Now, there is some protection for me if I don't have it, and I'm within 6 feet of someone who does, and they're not wearing a mask. Well, that's better than not wearing a mask, both of us not wearing a mask. So it does go both ways a little bit, but it's mostly to protect everyone else in case I might be infected with the virus.
You know, we've heard a lot about, and I think Dr. Anthony Fauci at the White House mentioned this today about the second or third potential wave that could be coming months from now. How is the medical community here bracing or preparing should something like that come to pass?
So certainly, we're all concerned about the second wave and when that will be. We're very, very hopeful that it won't be, anytime in the next few months. It might hopefully wait till the fall, and that will give us time to really perfect the strategies we have in place already to keep the healthcare workforce healthy, as well as any patients who have to come to the hospital healthy. It'll allow us to build up our supplies of PPE, and probably most importantly, hopefully it will allow all the brilliant people out there working on treatments and vaccines to have some time to develop some effective treatments.
Absolutely. Time is of the essence right now. Dr. Robert Frolickstein, emergency room doctor, thank you so much for joining us. And you're going to join us tonight at 9. We're going to take viewer questions. And I've already got a sneak peek of one of them. It has to do with pets and COVID-19. So I'm going to throw that one at you tonight at 9. And then, of course, we'll have it on the night beat. Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
They just get up every day and go put themselves on the line. I mean, it's heroic to me. So there's not a lot that I can do out here, and I'm an artist, and I do art in fields, and so I decided to create something for them.
A message of gratitude carved into the landscape of the American heartland for the frontline workers during the coronavirus outbreak. Stan Hurd is an artist who does his work on a large scale in the crops or fields around the country and the world. Hurd's been doing crop art for 40 years. His past works have been featured in National Geographic and on numerous national news networks.
His initial sketch involved the phrase, the front line, but a friend suggested, thank you instead. The materials used here are 100% Kansas, but he hopes his message reaches well beyond his state's borders.
That's talented.
That's amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, 90 degrees out there, and do we need to brace ourselves for tomorrow?
I mean, I wouldn't say brace.
Okay.
Or at least an extra layer of deodorant.
That's a good way to put it. I like your style, because that may be a little more necessary tomorrow.
All right.
Luckily, it's not going to be overly humid, so it's going to be warmer and the hottest day so far this year, but not all that muggy or overly uncomfortable. We're at 90 right now. By 8 p.m. down in the lower 80s, 10 p.m. 75 degrees. Though tomorrow is expected to be the hottest day so far this year, it's not going to last through the weekend as a cool front pays us a visit. So we'll talk more about that and take a look at the updated drought monitor coming right up.
All right, very nice, very sunny out there, and I'm not liking the forecast for tomorrow.
I'm not either.
It's too early for me.
I think you did give some very practical advice, ECs, but I am not crazy about high 90s.
Yeah, we'll be well into the 90s tomorrow, and I guess it would normally be the Battle of Flowers parade, so
it's right on time.
Right on time, exactly. Nice and sticky and uncomfortable outside. Cranking up the heat for Fiesta as we usually do. We'll have our time in November here to celebrate. All right, let's take a look at our drought monitor, but starting with this situation 4 weeks ago, because I love to give a comparison. Notice all the red on the screen indicating extreme drought, especially southwest of San Antonio. And let's transition to the newest one. Ta-da! We definitely put a big dent in the drought, but clearly we still have some ground to make up. Now, there wasn't a big difference between last week and this week, but when you compare it to several weeks ago, it's a big improvement, though obviously we need more rainfall. As for rain chances, it's looking pretty slim right now, actually. We're not expecting anything in the near future here. So let's take a look at our weather. It's quiet across Texas. Some of those isolated showers up the plains, but we're not expecting any of that activity. The real activity, which has caused some severe weather and even causing some more, especially in the panhandle of Florida here, is this dip in the upper level flow and all that moisture, good soaking rainfall. Look at that shield of rain all across the southeastern U.S. into the mid-Atlantic. We could use that. It's, moving out of here. Obviously, it's not coming toward us, and we have quiet weather. And actually, we're looking at nothing but full sunshine here all the way through the weekend and to kickstart next week. Temperature-wise, 80s for North Texas, 90s down in South Texas. Del Rio's 94, 93 in Beeville, Hondo, Uvalde, you're 91, and an even 90 degrees here in San Antonio. By the way, our high temperature was 92. Tomorrow, 96. Wouldn't surprise me if we're a degree or two warmer than that, actually. Then we get into the weekend, and behind a weak cold front, we'll see the temperatures level off a little closer to average for this time of year. So tomorrow's going to be a hot one, but we make up for it this weekend. Low humidity this weekend and high temperatures in the low to mid 80s. So speaking of low humidity, we're enjoying that outside right now. Dew point right around 40. Nice crisp air, and we know these days are numbered because it's that time of year where the breaks in the humidity get shorter and shorter. So we're lucky here in this stretch of weather that we have coming down the pike. Tomorrow, a hint of humidity in the air. We'll be right around that 60-degree mark for the dew point, but we're getting rid of it for the upcoming weekend, just in time for it to return again for the first part of next week. So here are the details for tomorrow. Sunny and 62 to start the day at sunrise. 96 the afternoon high, and even hotter than that, probably triple digits southwest of town. Crystal City, La Pryor, Carrizo Springs, Cotulla. You know, the usual locations, likely triple digits tomorrow, but low humidity and a south wind at 10 to 15. Into the weekend, still nothing but sunshine next week. The next chance of rain is a slight one, at least the way it stands right now. Obviously, things will change between now and then, but right now we just have a 20% chance of a few isolated storms popping up as we get into next week. That would be potentially on Tuesday and Wednesday with the return of humidity, some instability in the atmosphere, and just maybe some of those isolated pop-up showers or thunderstorms. You know, I love that. I'm dancing to that noise back here. I got room to do that. Do, 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 do. All right. So with all this homeschooling going on, and unfortunately, I'm not able to give away the thermometers right now because we can't have folks come by KSAT to pick them up. That time will pass. But I figured an art project for the kids, pretty obvious. Make a backboard for a thermometer. So I have Texas cutouts, and they're going to get their art credit for this week. I have them working on just making their own design, and I encourage them to make something that they could give away to somebody during the coronavirus pandemic. So make something that somebody else may want or may like, or that your teacher at school may like, and find someone that I could put a thermometer on and then give it away. So that's what we're working on at homeschooling right now. I'll keep you updated on the progress. I love it. Going to be interesting.
Every time I see a picture of Callie, I'm just blown away of how much she looks like your wife. And yeah, and I think Josie looks like you. Don't you think?
Well, I think that I'm going to be honest with you, Adam. Mm-hmm. I think that those thermometers are going to be collector's items.
You think so?
Yeah.
I hope so.
The Kasky kids.
Good job, guys.
Thermometers. I mean, come on.
It'll be
the
good.
Kasky crew.
In case you missed it, is coming up next. Here's today's In Case You Missed It.
After being closed for a month, Toyota North America announcing it plans to return to business at all facilities starting May 4th. That includes the Toyota plant on the city's south side. In a statement, Toyota said in part, quote, "We have implemented new protocols at all of our North American manufacturing plants to help mitigate the spread of COVID-19. We will continue to follow all safety guidelines and monitor vehicle demand as we carefully ramp up production," end quote.
Meantime, police have still not found who's responsible after a teenage boy was shot and killed while riding in a car on the east side. Right now, police are still searching for the people responsible, though. Police tell us 3 people were inside a vehicle when they saw another car parked near them. That's when someone got out of the car and began shooting at them. The victim was in the passenger seat. A bullet hit him in the head. Police say the driver pulled into a nearby Circle K and then called for help. Right now, we're still waiting to learn the name of that victim.
A new drive-through testing site has opened up on the south side to help people without insurance. It's at the Texas Med Clinic on Southwest Military Drive near South Zarzamora. That's across from South Park Mall. If you need to be tested, you will need to call 210-233-5970 to be screened. If it's determined a test is needed, the screener will then set up an appointment at either this location or the testing site at the Freeman Coliseum.
Another surprise for frontline workers with University Health System. 8,000 plants were delivered this morning to doctors and nurses and other healthcare workers. Horticultural Design Company handed out the plants this morning. They included
bromeliads.
Well, I was going to let Justin say because he was all excited when he saw the flowers.
Bromeliads. Bromeliads.
And orchids.
Her album is delayed, but Lady Gaga is giving people a sneak peek of it, and K-pop fans are going crazy. She released the track list for Chromatica, which has a collaboration with K-pop group Blackpink. The queens of K-pop are featured on a song called Sour Candy.
Gaga's 16-track album also includes songs featuring Elton John and Ariana Grande. No release date has been announced for Chromatica. It was initially supposed to come out on April 10th, but it was postponed because of coronavirus. And we have to wait a little longer for Fiesta officially this year, but we can still get the Fiesta feeling. We've been showing the Fiesta parades from last year's Party with a Purpose. Tomorrow, a big one, the Battle of Flowers Parade. It starts tomorrow at 2 p.m. right after SA Live on KSAT 12. You can also watch the parades on our website and on our app.
Oh, memories. Just looking at that photo.
Yeah.
Good memories. November. I keep telling myself November. We'll be back.
I thought maybe you were going to break into song there.
I thought maybe he was going to cry.
Maybe I am. You can't see me. You see? I'm good at concealing my emotions. So sunny and 96 tomorrow. That'll be the hottest day so far this year. Then we get into the weekend. About 83, 84 for the high temperature. So not as hot, but still very sunny. Nice crisp baby blue sky and low humidity. The humidity comes back on Monday with an isolated thunder shower or two possible by Tuesday and Wednesday. But notice after our 96 tomorrow, we're not looking at any days quite as hot until we get into May and June, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Thank you, Adam, and thanks for watching the 6 o'clock news.
See you online at 9 and on the night beat at 10. The NFL draft starts now.